Thank you so much for joining us today. We are super excited to welcome you to our first series in our series of webinars that we're going to be hosting called Mastering Marketing. So our target that we want to achieve today is we really want to empower marketing managers with the knowledge that you need to go out there and be the best that you can be in today's fast-changing landscape. So today we are covering a topic that is pretty much hot on everybody's radar, which is AI. And I think it's if you haven't really heard much about ChatGPT, then potentially you've been living on another planet. But I think the reason that you're here is because you've heard about it and you want to know how to master it. So we've got a really exciting lineup planned for you today. And the great thing about today's session is we are super practical. This is not an exercise in theory. We're not here to teach you anything that you can't actually take away and physically apply in your day to day. It should make a difference in your life today. And so just a little bit of housekeeping. As I said, we're going to keep this practical. It's not abstract. As Michael said, pop all your questions live into the Q&A section, and we will get to them when we wrap up each section. We have enabled closed captions. So for those of you who like to listen with captions on, that is an option that is available to you. We are recording this session and we will send it to you afterwards. So if you have to hop off or you couldn't make the session, you will get it as a link afterwards. We'll also load it up on our YouTube channel. You can access it there. And the slides are going to be available to you as well. And the great thing is that we have included a resources repository. At the end of this PowerPoint, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of amazing resources and links. And Irma is also making available to you some of her super powerful templates. So there's some really exciting things waiting for you at the end of this session. So without any further ado, let me kick off by introducing my amazing guest speakers today. So if you haven't already met Irma, Irma is an absolute marketing, strategic technology guru. She is a global trainer, trains some of the top blue chip companies around the world in everything on digital marketing, from the latest in Google Analytics all the way through to omni-channel marketing strategy, marketing channels, social media. Welcome, Irma, and thank you for joining us today. We're also going to be joined by Michael, and Michael is my business partner at Shift One. Michael is also a marketing technologist through and through. He is a design engineer who solves problems using design. He heads up the design studio, he heads up the technology studio, and he also is the CEO of Shift One. Welcome, Michael.
Thanks, Dylan. Hi, everyone.
Okay, cool. So let's kick off with our very first session, which we're going to be going through a lot of sort of jargony words, which I don't want this to be too technical. I don't think we have anybody in the room that really wants to go into a deep dive into the technology behind this. So we're not going to be, going through all of the technical facts behind, natural language processing, tokens, large language models and stuff like that, but we have included this handy little glossary. So it is in the PowerPoints, and if you do get lost, you can look it up. So let's kick off with our very first poll, which is, how often do you use AI at the moment? So let's have a look. If you can see the poll, or if you can't see the poll, just put your answers there in chat. But my question to you now is, how often do you use AI right now? Let's have a show of hands. Can you all see the poll? There we go. So how often do you use AI right now? Let's have a look at what everybody says. Are you using it daily, weekly, monthly, or you haven't yet played with it? I'm curious to know. Okay, so we do have some people that are already using it daily, some who've tried it weekly, and I would say the majority have not yet tried it, which is amazing because you're definitely in the right room. By the end of the session, we will have demystified it and you're going to be playing with it, and you're going to love it. It's going to be your new best friend. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So let's just look at what is AI. So you've already encountered AI in your life. You've been served ads. AI is not something new. The Google algorithm, the search algorithm uses AI, machine learning. It's been around for a very long time. And, if you've ever chatted to a chatbot, and been served up some results, everybody knows AI to a certain extent. But I think what has made this very, very different is its generative AI. So what ChatGPT has done is they've basically pulled this massive repository of information that is available out there, from just crawling the internet and all the way down to Wikipedia. And they have this massive, massive repository of information that they have trawled. And they're basically smooshing it together and giving you what they think you're looking for, as well as using natural language. And that's what makes it so powerful, is we're moving into an era where you can say to your computer, use this database, and target this persona and create a campaign for me that sells more of this product to the people who have the greatest propensity to buy. And you can literally type that instruction in, and the AI will be able to generate a campaign, the creative, the words, the text, post it, create the ads, run the ads, optimize the ads, interpret the results. And you can basically sit back and read your coffee, and that literally can happen within the space of a few minutes. So this is the exciting and slightly scary world that we are moving into, and very, very fast. And I think that's really what's hit everybody, is the rapidity, how rapidly ChatGPT hit us in November. And I instantly saw articles coming out in November. December, it was already well on my radar. And I mean, here we are in February, and everyone's been talking about it. Okay, so if you have a look at this little video here, this was created by Funaki, which is a Google text to video experiment, also AI. And the prompt was a teddy bear swimming in the ocean. And you can see how powerful this text, these command prompts are becoming in terms of AI, from video, audio. We've all seen, if you're on TikTok or if you're on YouTube Shorts, you've all seen how, singers' voices can be emulated, writing styles can be emulated. The power of, from deep fake video technology, the power of AI it's really, really phenomenal. And we're here to show you how, as marketers, you can master that. So for example, look at this tweet that somebody shared. Hey, Bing AI, which is powered by ChatGPT, look up research on luxury brand names, then make up good names for a luxury smartwatch inspired by Shakespeare. Give me a positioning statement and a Shakespearean quote for each designer logo, and finally create a Midjourney. Midjourney is also an AI design program. Prompt to generate a prototype image, and all of that within seconds. So as you can see, the table is created, and the prompts were created, which were then put it into Midjourney, and the designs were created. So AI really is there, to serve marketers and to really help us do a better job. If you look at the different industrial revolutions, what stands out to me is the speed that we are moving into the new revolution. So we're well into the fourth industrial revolution. But if you look at how slowly the first industrial revolution happened, the second industrial revolution, the third, there were long stretches of time between them, but the fourth and the fifth are literally like boom, boom. The fourth industrial revolution, everyone for a while has been talking about AI, robotics, Internet of Things, blockchain, crypto. It's been around for a while now, and by for a while, I mean a couple of years. And now we are definitely well into, where AI is starting to be able to work with humans in a cooperative sense. So actually robotics, AI technology is working with us, and there's a cooperation that is happening between the two before they take over the world and kill us all. Just kidding. So why use AI? Obviously, it's efficiency. I mean, we've been using AI in our business for quite some time. We've been using AI writing tools, but for the first time, it's really made the speed like just phenomenal. The same copywriter can now produce 10 times as much copy. And we weren't making money on our writing because our writing took so long, because we're thorough. And, the research takes a really long time, the writing, the composition, you put everything together, then the editing and the proofreading and the rewriting. And now actually our copywriters are able to be so much more productive in what we're doing. So from an efficiency point of view, it really, it makes so much sense. It's funny, everyone says, robots don't take time off. However, they do have glitches and, the server errors. So you'll see from ChatGPT, it is very up and down. You can't absolutely, you can't fire all your copywriters because unfortunately, ChatGPT very often doesn't work. And they have server overload because literally the whole world is using ChatGPT. I'm sitting here in Germany, and my friends of mine down the road are using ChatGPT every single day in German. It's a huge global phenomenon. So in terms of creativity, definitely, because it can give you so many ideas literally at the touch of a button. And obviously in terms of innovation, because there's so much, the power of ChatGPT and this GPT technology is this bedrock on which so much can lie. You can create Excel tables, you can create chatbots, you can create WordPress plugins, all with it, like instantaneously, websites. It can literally just generate it for you. So I see it more and more and more. It should be being introduced to your business right now, if it isn't already. From a customer service point of view, I always say that marketing is only for people who can write. I've always said that if you can't write, you shouldn't be in marketing. And literally since November, anyone can be a marketer, anyone can write. It's literally opened the doors for anybody to be in marketing, because if you haven't put your even your emails to your clients through ChatGPT, if you can't write and you literally, your grammar, your sentence construction, maybe English isn't your first language, you can literally do it with ChatGPT. So customer service, chatbot integrations that are being built, that are absolutely powerful, supporting customer service. Sales and lead generation. I mean, I've got a resource I can share with you about how it can create thousands of unique sales prompts within seconds. So in terms of creating uniqueness and personalization, that is really where the power of it lies, that we're seeing that it can actually take data, pull micro niche market segments and create hyper-personalized messaging for micro segments. And if you know me, I and Irma as well, we're big fans of personas. We're big fans of segmented target marketing. It's something we're always banging on about. In terms of marketing, obviously copywriting for your emails, copywriting for your website, copywriting for your blogs, your social media content plans, strategy, design, some illustrations. Mike will get into that, some of the challenges around there for SEO, your paid ads copy, again, chatbots, data analytics, strategy creation. And then in your development and web dev, obviously those teams should be looking at, again, chatbots, plugins, coding. There's so much that ChatGPT can do. So if you look here, as I mentioned, retail, telco, utility company, looking at integrating ChatGPT, and this is Bain.com, that's partnered up with the guys from OpenAI to create solutions for the financial services, in marketing, to create specific applications that just take it to the next level. And here, as you can see, this is the generative AI application landscape that has literally blossomed overnight. And you can see where this finger is pointing, it's pointing to the baseline. And you can see that the base of all of these programs is some sort of a GPT AI platform. And sitting on top of it are all these different kinds of applications that, a different skin that just pull from the same machine. but you can see that the power is definitely there in terms of text, in terms of video, image, coding, 3D, speech, and a lot more is still to come. It's very much still in its infancy. So will it take my job? That's probably a question that's definitely on your mind. And if you look back at the Luddites in the 1800s, have you ever been called a Luddite? Now you know why. A Luddite is somebody who resists technology. And the Luddites were textile workers in Great Britain. And along with machines were coming in to take over their job, and they rebelled, and they were very unhappy, and they were breaking the machines. And if you look at the industry now, the textile industry is one of the biggest industries still in the world, and it is highly dominated by machines. And we don't want to be the Luddites. We want to be, if you watch that great movie, Hidden Figures, where the human computers who were doing the mathematical calculations were being replaced by the IBM computer. If you haven't watched the movie, go and watch it. It's brilliant. And one of the ladies saw the potential, and she first saw that all her ladies were going to be replaced by this IBM. And the first thing that she did was she got the manual. She learned IBM. She became one of the top computer programmers back in the day. So this is our challenge now, is to not resist the technology, because with the Luddites, the machines were replacing the manual labor, the hand labor, whereas now AI is replacing brain labor. And so this is the challenge that we're sitting at now, is how do we make sure that it doesn't replace what we do. So if you look at this open letter that the CEO of Fiverr put into the New York Times addressing the AI, I think that the threat is real to the lower end of the marketing chain and the low end of the digital supplier chain. So basically, a lot of the Fiverr suppliers potentially see a bit of a threat happening there, and that is potentially why Fiverr was so quick to jump onto this and to say, no, guys, we're okay. We're playing with AI. So I think it's going to. So if you ask the question, will AI take my job? The answer is probably not for a while. You've still got some time, and you need to repurpose yourself, into potentially an AI prompt engineer, or an AI product manager, or an AI copywriter. So AI definitely is not cannot replace you yet, because at this point in time, it is still, for example, the copywriting is still very dry and definitely needs a lot of human intervention. So any articles that we write using it, we have to add personality, and it is 10-day-old porridge dry. So it's also not current. So breaking news, it can't do. There are a lot of inaccuracies, both in the code and in the copy, that you have to check for. It has to be curated, highly, highly curated and adjusted by humans. So, and obviously design is still very, very, very much a challenge. I think on the illustration side, it's probably got more application at this point in time, and design is, still a bit of a long way off. So without any further ado, I would like to hand over to Irma, who's going to talk through AI and marketing strategy. Thank you, Irma.
Thank you, Dylan. Yeah, absolutely. So AI has been around for a while. I think it's just come to the forefront a whole lot more with the launch of ChatGPT since November, but it's been with us for a while. So we'd love to know, have you used AI for marketing strategy specifically? And we'd love to know, because I think people don't always are aware of how strategy can be influenced by AI. I'd love to know, have you used it? You used AI in your marketing strategy before? Just give us a yes or a no in the poll. If your poll doesn't work, let us know in the chat. Have you used it in strategy specifically? Ever? So we'll give it a second to populate in there. Let us know in the chat if you can't access the poll. All right, I don't see. Yeah, most haven't. Well, you're in for a surprise today, right? So brace yourselves. I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT in strategy. So strategy comes back to the 4 pillars on the screen right now. So we always start our question off whenever we launch a campaign, or even if we have to compile a whole digital strategy, is what are we trying to achieve, right? So if you are in an agency working with clients, that should be your very first question to your client at brief. We know when the brief happens, what are we trying to achieve? What does success look like? And then also we need to measure, we need to decide on what to measure to determine whether we are making progress or if we are achieving success or not. So very important is the objectives and goals of what we're trying to achieve actually informs everything else in strategy, which then is all about who we communicate to. So remember, as digital marketers, and that's what we all are, what we do as digital marketers is we influence behavior, right? So in all of our channels, in all of our communications, we actually need our audiences to take some action, right? Click here, download, buy now, visit our shop, whatever the action is. But that is where we need to know who are these people that we are communicating to. And as Dylan mentioned earlier, you need to be very, very clear about that person on the other side of the screen that we're creating content for, right? And that's where I'm going to show you how AI can actually help us achieve that. And also, we need to know what is showing up on the news feeds of our audience from our competitors. Remember, we have limited space on newsfeed, whichever news feeds we are using, or in inboxes, email marketing. So we need to know what our audiences are seeing from us and our competitors, right? So we'll come back to the target audience. Then once we know what we're trying to achieve and who we're communicating to, then only can we decide or be informed in terms of where our audiences are active, which platforms are they using, what type of content would help them make the decision to move them through the funnel and get them to take action. And then also a very often overlooked part of that third pillar in terms of your marketing activities is the budget and resources. Crucial, right? Because we can have beautiful strategies and beautiful channel strategies, but if our resources, not just budget resources, but skill resources, time resources, assets are limited, then we pretty much can do only a limited amount of channel marketing, right? And then lastly, very important is measurement, data-driven decisions, because if we measure the right key performance indicators and metrics, we will know whether we are achieving success or not in terms of our marketing strategies and where we need to actually spend our time. So we're going to dive into the 4 pillars today now to actually check, or I'm going to show you how to use ChatGPT. Now, you will see I've just created a generic example for the Digital Marketing Academy to illustrate the power of ChatGPT. So I just want to take a step back to our opening statements earlier. AI will not replace humans because it's not a magic wand. We still need the human element to understand the people that we are marketing to and to bring experience. So a freshly graduated student, fresh from university with no experience whatsoever, cannot just input prompts and questions into ChatGPT and magically become a strategist, right? So that's the good news, is you still need the experience to be able to get the right output out of the tool. So here on your screen is an example, and we wanted to demonstrate ChatGPT live, but because it's so glitchy, we didn't want to take that risk. So this is an example of a prompt that I entered into ChatGPT, right? So obviously you will know up front, it will never be as generic as on your screen, what you or your clients are trying to achieve, right? So you will see that my prompt in there is quite generic: create 3 smart goal statements for DMA to promote an advanced digital marketing course. And I've broken it down into the funnel stages. So then the result that came up from ChatGPT was the following, right? And you can see that it's fantastic. It's awesome. ChatGPT broke it down for us in terms of the funnel stages of what our goal statements could look like for the awareness stage, consideration, conversion stages of our marketing efforts. But also, this can give us a foundation to start working from. Because in digital marketing, all of you may know that there's a lot of repetitive work, right? A lot of foundational groundwork that happens where AI can help us do a lot of that, where we can then bring our expertise and tweak. So you will see that from an objective perspective, that was the very first prompt. And then if we go to the next part, so focusing on the objective part of our strategy, Dylan, you can just maybe click for the next prompt example. I'm not going to show you in there. Oh, sorry. Yeah, got it. Right. Then, no, did it? Am I seeing the right screen now? Yeah. So can you see that also? Apologies on that. You can also tell the AI platform, and we're focusing on ChatGPT specifically now in this example, where it's very text-based. Often without specific prompts and instructions, it will give text-based results. But you will see that in my prompt, I actually asked ChatGPT to define the KPIs and metrics for the SMART goals that we've just created in table format. So I copied the result and pasted it into the chat, and the result was then the table format that came up. Fantastic, right? So now we have a structure to start working off from, right? So now we know for awareness, typically what the KPIs in this scenario or environment would be to focus on in the different stages, and also which metrics to focus on. As a strategist, this is often the question that digital marketers ask us, and from an agency perspective, ask us which metrics should we measure. That's often very, very challenging. So this tool can help break down, which metrics specifically can help us to achieve those objectives. So moving on then, we can also see that I have now taken it a step further, right? And asked, right, so based on the objectives that we're trying to achieve, still very generic, just for this example, for the sake of this example, also create a journey map for one of the target audiences. In this case, that could be another digital agency owner. So can you see now the result is touch points broken down, emotions that we should be focusing on in terms of getting the behaviors to that we are influencing, and the actions that we need to create. Which brings us to the next part in the 4 pillars of our strategy. Who are we going to communicate to? Now, obviously, in any industry or any business, there will be more than one persona. So in a B2B environment, a decision-making process is often based on different role players. You may have a technical buyer of your product. You may have a financial decision maker, an executive decision maker. So the way that a financial director makes a purchasing decision is completely different to the way that a technical user of a service or technology service would make a decision whether to use the service or not. So in this case, I've asked for a persona description, but can you see that the prompts that entered, if you could just go one back, Dylan, sorry, was very, very specific. I actually prompted, please indicate these areas. So if you enter a generic prompt, which I did initially, was create a B2B persona description for a global digital agency owner. And it was very floppy, but that's where your expertise is needed to guide the AI to give you the right results. So on the next slide, you will see that it's, I know the text is a little bit small, but that's the level of detail we then get, right? Broken down very specifically. So typically, what would an agency owner, as an example, look like? But you should go even further and specify, is it an agency owner in South Africa? Is it a digital agency focusing on B2C brands or B2B brands? All right, can you see the quality of your results is completely dependent on the quality of your input. So you really need that expertise and in-depth understanding of your client or your business that you are representing in terms of getting the right quality information out of this. So how this information was then used is in terms of all of these detailed sections, is you can then enter it into a visual tool like the SEMrush persona tool as an example, and that will then give you a visual result of what a person or a persona that we would typically create content for look like. Now, Michael will touch on the design part a little bit later, but I just want to quickly just prompt something again in terms of the personas and why they are so important. We often think that the persona exercise is a waste of time, but if you have a detailed description of the person whose actions you are trying to influence, it makes your copywriting easier because you know who on the other side of the screen am I writing to. from a design perspective, who on the other side of the screen am I creating visual assets for? Because the way that a CEO of a billion-dollar tech company in the US would engage with visual content on LinkedIn can be completely different to a B2C client who needs to buy fashion items, right? So that's why the persona documents are so powerful. So now moving on to the third pillar of the strategies, where we get to the tactics and the channels, you can also then use this tool to actually get some tactical ideas, right? In terms of the channels that you may have identified as the assets available, what then could be the next step in terms of creating tactical platforms. You will see I gave a breakdown of the channels in this example in the prompt, but also asked ChatGPT, please include the channel, the objectives, because remember, we still always need to relate back to what we are trying to achieve in terms of objectives, the actions, and which metrics to focus on. The result then, you will see on the next screen, is again in table format, depends on how you need your information. Very often, table format makes it easy at a glance to actually see a whole lot of information and make sure that we have everything included. But by default, ChatGPT is text-based, so it will not give it to you in table format by default, right? So be very, very clear in your prompts and recommendations. So moving along with the 4 pillars of the strategy then comes the third pillar, which includes content, right? And as Dylan rightly said earlier, we always need to create content. So I'd love to know from you, what are your thoughts? How important do you think? How important is it for copywriters to be able to use AI technology? I'd love to hear from everybody. Just let us know. You can indicate your results or your responses in the poll, or you can type in the chat. The poll's not working. Just give us a quick note in the chat. What do you think? Very important, not important at all. And what are your thoughts? Okay, I can see some results. Very important, absolutely. Dylan says on a scale of 0 to 10, it's a 10. Absolutely. Thank you. So the right prompt is up on the screen. But I think we can agree that it is absolutely crucial for copywriters to be able to use these tools. All right. And we'll give it a second to just populate. So if you want to pop your answer in the poll, you're more than welcome. Let's give it a moment, but I think most of you responded that it is very important. But we can then close the poll. Thank you, and move on. Thank you very much. Right, so fantastic. So 91% of everybody in the school agreed, right? It is important. But we often think that for a text-based AI tool like ChatGPT, it's only about content. It is not, right? It's so much more, and I'm going to show you in a second now. But another example of a prompt based on the Digital Marketing Academy example is you can also use this tool to help you with the pillar content suggestions. Now, why is this important? In digital marketing, all paths lead back to the website, right? All paths always lead back to the website. That's where information is shared. That's where lead generation happens. That's where conversion happens. But we need to support our SEO strategy with the right pillars of content to focus on in our channel strategy and communication. And that's often the part that marketers battle with in terms of what are the pillars of content that we should focus on. So in this instance, we can see that based on what the prompts that, now this was all done in the same chat, right? That's very important. The prompt or the follow-up questions were built upon the previous result. So remember, it is a bot that we're working with. So if you are going to give random prompts, you will get random results. So we build onto our prompts to get the right information. So ChatGPT then very kindly suggested 6 pieces of pillar content that we could focus on for Digital Marketing Academy. Right? So if we then have a look and take it even further, and that's where the point comes in terms of the threat of AI and our jobs, is we can no longer be only specialists in key areas. We actually need to know every aspect of digital marketing, because the SEO bit of your website is no longer only the responsibility of your SEO specialist. even if you are responsible for Facebook campaigns, you need to know which keywords to include in your content to trigger the right behavior patterns and results from your audience. So as an example, I asked ChatGPT, give me a list of keywords for SEO. And this is, because I'm sure you will agree with me, generating keyword lists are often time consuming, right? And we often are so involved in this process that we can't think anymore. And that's where a tool like AI can actually just help us and prompt us to actually broaden our horizon. So we're not just prompting the AI can prompt us to actually see things that we may have missed. So then, as a result, as an example, once we have the objectives that we're focusing on, the audience that we're creating content for, the channels that we are going to utilize, we can then also take it a step further. And in this case, my prompt was create a process flow for automated marketing, and actually content marketing in this case. So you will see that this is very generic. Can you see the prompt results in there in terms of lead generation and utilize various channels? That's very, very generic. So, but it can actually help to open up your mind in terms of certain process steps to include. But the expertise is then needed to actually create relevant content. Right, so moving along then, we can also then take it a step further. So I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with building a story brand. If not, maybe I can just ask our moderator to type the name of the book in the chat. It's called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Read it. If you're a marketer, that's the best book you will probably ever read if you are in content creation. And I just asked ChatGPT to write a value proposition as an example for Digital Marketing Academy based on the principles of building a story brand. So I actually included the template. I included the areas that we needed, that I wanted in the value proposition, and ta-da, let me show you what the value proposition then looks like. Awesome, isn't it? And I can tell you, before ChatGPT, I've written value propositions like the one on the screen over and over again, right? But this tool, within seconds, can actually then create a foundation or a baseline. It's obviously not perfect, right? But where we can then build onto this information. So it's a huge time saving as one of the main benefits. So then also moving along to the fourth pillar of the strategy comes the measurement part, right? Because if we don't measure, we don't know what is working. The whole point, and while I'm doing the intro here, you can maybe just give us a quick indication in the poll again, if you think there are any benefits, in terms of using AI in data and analytics. What are your thoughts? Let's thank you for the name of the book in the chat, but let us know what do you think the benefits of using AI in analytics are. Welcome to type in the chat or give us your vote in the poll. I don't want to waste too much time on the poll. We've still got a bit of content to cover, but we'll come back, right? But just give it some thought. But that brings us then to the fourth pillar of our strategy, is bringing all of it together, right? Now we need to know, right? So while I'm talking, you're still welcome to cast your votes in the poll. Is now that we have our objectives, the channels we're going to focus on, the tactics that we need to develop, the KPIs or key performance indicators that we need to focus on, and the metrics, and then we can also really decide on which types of data to focus on in terms of measurement. So it's kind of like an even split. Most of you, or you kind of agreed that it's about using measurement and data in AI is to have accurate data analysis, to visualize your data, and also to enable predictive modeling and forecasting, absolutely. And in a few we're not sure. Right? So let me show you then how this could help. So in terms of the fourth pillar of the strategy then, in terms of measurement, thanks Dylan, if you could just move that one on for us. This is where ChatGPT, and not only ChatGPT, but the other tools can actually help to really focus on the right metrics. So tools, and you will see that there's in the tool list, tools like Google Data Studio, or formerly Google Data Studio, it's now called Google Looker Studio, is tools where we can utilize the platform to actually help us analyze our results from different platforms, pull it into one platform where we don't have to focus on a whole lot of metrics going forward. Right, so now, knowing what we know, and ChatGPT is only one tool, I see 100% of you are going to give it a go. Absolutely fantastic, then I've done my job, right? This is just the beginning. I need you to actually help this tool, all of the tools that you are going to use to get to the right results. So fantastic. Now, thank you very much. I'm going to hand you over to Michael to actually then explain to us how to use artificial intelligence in the design aspect. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Okay, so we're going to start off talking a little bit about image generation. So we're going to discuss these 4 platforms a little bit. So we've got DALL-E 2, Jasper, Midjourney, and Runway. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of these or have ever given it a bash. If you have, give us a shout here in the chat. Let us know what you think. Let's start off with DALL-E 2. So DALL-E 2 is predominantly an image generator, and it has a few other tools as well, but it is seen as the biggest, most dominant in the market at the moment. So let's go to the next slide. If we ask DALL-E 2 to create an image for us, so it can create realistic images, it can create art, really anything you want. So for example, here the prompt is an astronaut riding a horse in a photorealistic style. So there you can see the output, and you can see below that there's a lot of other different options that it comes up with. Then you can change it to a pencil drawing. You can change it to the style of Andy Warhol. So you get completely different results, 100% authentic, original, and based on the style and the prompts that you put in. So that gives a really nice overview of the types of images that you can create, but it all really comes down to that prompt. The next tool that they have is a tool that can actually expand images. I don't know if you've ever had an image and you've said, oh, you wish the photographer had just cropped it a little bit wider. So this is now your perfect opportunity. You can insert your image, or you can take the image that AI has already generated for you, and you can actually extend that image, and it'll work out what is the best thing to happen in the rest of your background. This is a tool that we've experimented with a little bit. It still does need a lot of work. It really is in its infancy. As the results we came up with weren't great, but I'm sure we're going to see it progress in leaps and bounds over the next few days and weeks and years, especially. This next tool is very cool. So say you've got a photo of an office building, and you now want to see what it would look like with a couch in it. You can just ask it to add a couch. Now, if you had to have your graphic designer do this, it's going to take quite a bit of time. This took seconds. So image editing, you can do with just text prompts. Here it takes an original image, so you could take a photo and you could ask it to create variations of that image for you. Here you can see a famous painting and all the variations of that image there. You can see that there's definitely a likeness in there, but they're all different and original. Okay, so these were our first attempts at using DALL-E 2. You can see here our prompts weren't great and our output wasn't great either. So for example, you can see we asked for a photorealistic high detail image of an empty corner office on the 30th floor of a building looking out over London at sunset. So it's a very technical description. It ticked the brief. It's exactly what we've got an image of. You can see there are little glitches in the images. If you look at the third image there, you can see the shadow doesn't quite reflect the actual bars of the window, little things like that. So it's not 100% perfect, but I think if you had to compare that to giving a brief to a photographer or a designer, I think AI did a pretty good job. You'd probably find any human you ask to do the job would interpret the brief possibly very differently. So you can see some other examples there. A giant hand depicted as a maize field. So that one I like because it's also a very ambiguous statement. So it's always interesting to see what you're actually going to get. So it does take a bit of trial and error, and it takes a lot of learning to know, what is a good prompt and how to improve those. So here we've got a little bit better. Here you can see the prompt is a realistic photo of a beautiful young African woman sitting in a stylish coffee shop looking at her mobile phone. She has an excited expression on her face and dramatic lighting. So here you can see, these images are really realistic. This is something you'd expect to see on Adobe stock or any decent stock image library. Here you can see the power of really what you can achieve. Great images at the drop of a hat, and it's exactly what you want it to be. So DALL-E there, there was some indication of pricing there, but there is a free trial, which is great. I think it gives you about 40 or 50 credits. You can go ahead and try it out. The user interface is very simple. It's literally just that little text bar where you type in your prompt and click generate. That is it. That's the complete user interface. So easy to use. Go ahead, try it out, and let us know what you think. Okay, so what actually makes a good prompt? So the three basic things you need is your actual subject. What do you want the image to be? Its surrounding details, and then the style. So you can get as technical as you want, using real photographic terms and technical expressions. But the great part about this AI is it uses natural language. So you can feel free to actually just express what you want in normal day-to-day language, and that'll work just as good. So here you can see rubber duck aliens visiting the Earth for the first time, hyper-realistic, cinematic, detailed, and that's just the proportions there. And you can see the output is quite creative. So what are some words that you can use in your search prompts? We're not going to go through all of these. These are just some examples. So you can afterwards, when you try out these apps, you can have a go at it. So you've got art styles, painting types, decorative art, lighting, time periods, artists, photography styles, common expressions that can increase results. So those ones are quite nice. If you want to say it's a award-winning photography or high detailed, high quality, super realistic, go ahead and add those in there to really try and create that image that you're looking for. The time periods is quite an interesting one. For instance, if you're specifically looking for an image that you would traditionally see in the 80s or the 60s or anything like that, you can go ahead and give a time period, and that really helps to refine your image to something very cool. Okay, so what did we do wrong here? So the prompt that was put in is a man without a beard, and the image we got was a man with a beard. The reason for this is AI sees the word beard and will put it in. The fact that you said without is irrelevant to AI. So the trick there is don't use negative keywords. Don't say what shouldn't be in the image, only use what should be in the image. So rather say something like a cleanly shaved man. Okay, so our next tool is Jasper. The thing I really like about Jasper is that it's not just an image generator. It has a lot of other tools as well that are combined in there. So we've taken our same prompt that we used for our beautiful African lady in the coffee shop and put it into Jasper and seen what we get. The output is definitely different. But the quality and the type of imagery that we received is very similar. So pretty good side-by-side examples there in terms of the output. Then we tried giving it a slightly more local request, asking for a person doing yoga with a view of Table Mountain in the background. So now obviously AI has its learnings. It still needs to learn everything about the whole world, and so obviously its focus is most likely not Cape Town and Table Mountain. So I'm sure if you type this in a couple of weeks' time, Table Mountain is probably going to come up a lot better. But AI relies on the images that were received. So it might also just be due to, because you get, Cape Town looks different from depending on which side you're looking at it. So you might have to be more specific in saying you want the view of Table Mountain from Bloberg Strand, for instance. Okay, so coming back to Jasper's features, if you look at it, boss mode is basically their standard feature, and that's starting at $49 per month for 50,000 words. So here again, it's not just an image generator, it combines image, text, all of these tools. But what I really like is if you look at the difference between boss mode and business, business has tailored AI brand voice. And that is, I think, the tool of the future of AI is this brand voice, especially for businesses wanting to use this as a marketing tool. Imagine now taking your AI, creating an account, and putting all of your company documents through it so that it really learns your services, your products, putting in all your stock imagery, letting it really understand your visual style, the type of people, your personas, putting in there your brand voice. What is your tone? Are you very corporate? Are you casual? And really teaching your AI to understand your brand. And then it's really going to take control. And that's the power of AI, is AI can then tell you when you do things that don't fit within your brand, and it can correct it for you. It's very difficult to always be consistent, especially if you think of marketing agencies where we need to manage multiple brands. So for us, it's a great tool to be able to manage the various brands, making sure that we always consider the brand voice and hone in on exactly representing that brand to a T. Okay, so Midjourney is also a very popular platform. I just put some examples there. Midjourney works with Discord, so you can go and register if you've got a Discord account. If not, you can just create one, log into Discord, and you can actually see there's a channel there on Discord where you can go and you can view and see exactly what people are generating. So just a few cute examples. You can see some of the prompts there are very short, some of the prompts are extremely long. There's one there which is a logo design. You can see that person asked for EduWorld text logo, boy with book, beautiful nature, full quality. And the imagery there is great, but the word EduWorld doesn't work at all. And I've seen that and with some of our tests as well, where AI does struggle to put the correct text in. I'm sure that's going to be a feature that you'll see improving over the next short while. Okay, our next platform is Runway. Now, the thing I really like about the Runway platform is it's broken up its AI into a lot of various tools that's really easy to understand. The user interface is easy to use, but it gives you a lot more options and things to configure rather than just a text prompt. So some of the tools that they've got here, so text to image, that's very much like DALL-E 2, where you put in your text prompt and it generates an image. Then they've got erase and replace. So there you literally have a little pen that you can highlight the area that you want to replace something. You put in your prompt of what you want to replace it with, and it'll do that. Image to image, so you can upload your own image and you can ask it to generate something new from that image. Infinite image, that's again similar to DALL-E 2, where you can expand your image as far and wide as you want to give you more background or more image. Things like removing background and adding green screens, those have been around for a while. There's colorize, you can take a black and white image and ask AI to color it in for you. Great tool. Upscale image, that's something that people have been working on in a long time, taking a low-res photo and actually turning it into a high-res photo. And in the block there with the little lions, that's AI training. And that's, again, similar to Jasper. You can actually train your AI on your image. So say you're a persona of a brand. You can go and you can upload at least 15 images of yourself, and it'll generate 100 images of you in various styles, shapes, colors, anything you can imagine. And the nice thing about that is you can then combine these tools to take it one step further. So you can actually, when you want to generate a new image, you can use that AI learning of your image of yourself or of your product, and you can then ask for images of your product in different locations, different scenes, etc. So the options become endless. There's a little video here just showing the workflow of how you can actually combine these tools to create a full workflow to take your image from concept to final product. Did we get volume in it?
1990s television playing Nintendo in his room. The first few results were okay, but I reworked the prompt a little bit and tried to make it more descriptive of what I was imagining. The second generation attempt landed me here, which had most of the elements and the composition I was looking for, so I added it to my assets folder, then swapped over to the erase and replace tool. I erased the boy and entered a new prompt. Shot of a boy from behind watching television in a dark room. I loved that result, so then I started shaping the room how I wanted it using the erase and replace tool. Adding a door on the left, a lamp on the shelf. Then I tried adding a hamster in a cage, which generated a Pomeranian-sized hamster. So after a few attempts, I settled for a sweet potato-sized hamster and added Super Mario being played on the TV. This part doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be in the ballpark. The real magic, in my opinion, comes when we switch over to the image-to-image tool, which works based on the input image you give it, plus a text prompt. I started with a boy in his room playing video games on a TV, retro photography, 1990, high detail with a vintage feel, medium, photography, mood, cinematic, and a low prompt weight, and a middle-of-the-road blend strength. The results were pretty good, but then I started changing up some of the parameters and sliders to alter the results. For anyone curious, a low prompt weight will give you a more creative result, while a higher number will stay more true to the prompt. The strength slider is how much of the original image stays intact versus generating something wildly different. I changed up the prompt and the settings a few more times, then finally landed on something that resonated with me, except for this weird turned off TV down here. So I made one more trip to erase and replace and turn the TV into a shelf of toys instead. Time to download it and move on to the next one.
Okay, great. So there you can really see how they've taken all the tools, combined them, and created a workflow. So take your image from concept to final product. That I think was one of my big concerns with image AI is, what if we create an image and a client then asks for changes to that image? My fear was you're going to have to prompt AI again, and it's going to give you a completely different result. So how do you maintain that consistency? And that's a very good demonstration on that. So it's definitely making it easier to make changes and edits. We're still not at the point where it can generate a multi-layer Photoshop file where you're able to then go in and make fine tunes to yourself. But I'm sure the Adobe team are hard at work already on making those tools available to things like InDesign, Photoshop, Illustrator. I'm sure, watch this space. It's going to be coming up very soon.
Image generation models have taken the world by storm. It's now possible for anyone to turn their ideas into images using nothing but words. The explosion of creativity these models unleashed was years in the making. In 2021, Runway introduced latent diffusion, an AI system that was able to generate realistic images using an improved image generation technique. And in 2022, Stable Diffusion, a further improved version of latent diffusion that caused a tidal wave of creativity and mass adoption of the technology. Today, Runway is excited to introduce the next step forward in generative AI, Gen 1, a video generation AI system that can efficiently generate video in any style, all while retaining quality and flexibility. Gen 1 is able to realistically and consistently apply the composition and style of an image or text prompt to the target video, allowing you to generate new video content using an existing video. We call this approach video to video, and we're incredibly excited to share a few early use cases. Stylization mode. Transfer the style of any image or prompt to every frame of your video. Storyboard mode. Turn mockups into fully stylized and animated renders. Mask mode. Isolate subjects in your video and modify them with simple text prompts. Render mode. Turn untextured renders into realistic outputs by applying an input image or prompt. And customization mode. Unleash the full power of Gen 1 by customizing the model for even higher fidelity results. Gen 1 represents a pivotal step forward in generative AI, one that brings us meaningfully closer to realizing the future of storytelling.
Okay, so there we go. You can see the future of video, and I think it's a not too distant future. So have a look at Runway. Runway does have a lot of tools for editing video. So a lot of great tools on there. Some of those tools are in the PowerPoint. So do you believe that AI technology will completely replace human designers? What do you guys think? Is everyone done with the poll? Should we have a look at the results? Okay, so yes, eventually, 20%, no, nothing can replace human designers, nearly at 60%, and not sure, 20%. So that's almost 50-50 if you add yes, eventually, and not sure, because I think anybody that's not sure is probably reckons it might happen. Personally, I'm not scared for my job. I think the trick though is if you're a designer and you're not adapting AI tools in the very near distant future, then yes, most likely, because you are going to be at the bottom of the pack in terms of your speed, your creativity, and the actual things that you can produce. So if you're an early adopter of this AI, I think you've got a very bright future in design going ahead. So I'm personally not worried about my job. So I hope you're not either. Okay, so we've talked a bit about image, we've talked a bit about video, but what about AI and web development? So here we found this tool, it's durable.co, and free tool. We asked them to build a website for us, and all it asked for was our company name and what we do, and it built this website for us in 30 seconds. It's not great, but it does give you the option to go through and regenerate and edit things. I was expecting it to ask for a little bit more information about our brand, or maybe asking us if we had a logo, or maybe if it wanted us to generate a logo for us. But this is what we got. So it's possible, you know, if you're a company that has absolutely no web presence, you know, why not give it a go? You got in 30 seconds, you got a website. But I do still feel there's a lot that can be done there. Here's using AI to develop code. So here we went back to ChatGPT, and we asked ChatGPT, you know, we build WordPress websites. So we asked it to build a WordPress plugin for us. So we put in our prompt. Let's check out the video. You can see how quick it happens. So here's our prompt. We asked it to write a plugin that deletes all the posts out of the media library after they reach 1 year old. So here it firstly starts off saying that, you know, it can't actually go and create the plugin and put it in just because it doesn't have access to those kind of files. But then it goes ahead and provides you with all of the code that you need, explains where you need to put the code, how to implement it, and even gives you caution about testing and making sure that it's going to do exactly what you want it to do. So, you know, if you have a web developer, most web developers aren't going to be that patient with you and give you all of that information. So I was pleasantly surprised by how informative ChatGPT was in helping you actually implement this plugin and even giving you some advice. So that was quite an awesome experience. We haven't actually tried implementing this plugin. Maybe we should give it a go and let you guys know if it works or if it actually broke our website. So let's skip through to the next one. So here we actually took then a snippet of code that we had and initially or intentionally broke it and pasted it into ChatGPT and asked it to see if it could fix it for us. Let's see how it did. Or not. Or we will. So here it was a basic syntax error. You'll see when I pasted it in, I actually just removed one of the braces there and wanted to see if it would pick it up. So it automatically says syntax error, spots the error, and provides the corrected code for us. And even gave a little text expression at the end, actually letting us know what that particular broken snippet, what its function was. So again, very polite, very informative. Thank you, ChatGPT. So pretty great experience there. Again, you know, this type of code is something that I wouldn't just copy and paste and use it on a live environment. I definitely need to go and test it and make sure it does exactly what's expected. So in closing on my section, these little bottles here, this was, while preparing this, it made me think of this little project that we did a few years ago, actually, for a client. And here what we did is it actually used early stages of AI, where we generated little people and patterns, and we created all their different elements. So we created various clothing, various skin colors, various hair, various accessories, and the software used our artwork, all the various pieces, to generate infinite amounts of variations of wine labels. And so we were able to control, we were able to tell it certain elements needed to be in specific positions, but things like the background, it had its own freedom to twist it, resize it, scale it. And it really shows you now with how advanced AI has become, how you can actually accomplish all of these things here. So efficiency, you know, for us to have manually created an infinite amount of designs would have taken infinitely long, whereas AI can do it instantly. Creativity, you know, going through this, if your mind hasn't been blown as to the potential opportunities that there are using AI, then we've done something wrong. Innovation, you know, if you're an early adopter of this, the world is your oyster. I think there's so much more that we can do as marketers, as designers, as developers. Suddenly, nothing is holding us back. With the help of AI, we have access to all the information in the world. It's at our fingertips, and it's a resource that we can now physically use day to day. Personalization. I mean, if you think about these wine bottles, we're able to create infinite amounts of variations, but we're also able to tailor them to every single person. So if you think about your marketing personas, if you're wanting to run an ad campaign, instead of having to manually create dozens and dozens of adverts, AI can potentially, you can give it all the resources. You can say, you know, these are all the different personas that I would like to target. It can come up with the various text, the various images, and put them together to create ads and target them to those specific people. And then accuracy, like we talked about, AI can actually check things for you. It can monitor all of like fonts used. Is our text always legible? There's so much that can be used there. So I think anybody that's going ahead with their business without the help of AI is possibly making a really big mistake. At the beginning of the year, I myself had my doubts about AI, but the more I look into it, the more excited I've become about adopting this in our business. And I'm sure you will be too.
Cool beans. Thank you so much, Michael. That was absolutely amazing. I love AI, and Absolutely, it doesn't get it right very often the first time because of the prompts. And as we learn and become better at putting the prompts in, it becomes more powerful. I know we are over time. If you're still with us, thank you. If you have to go, I understand. I'm quickly going to run through one or two little things which you're welcome to watch the video and catch up later. So just very, very quickly, maybe asking us, what are the legal ramifications around this? What about copyright? Do I own this stuff? And the answer is, at this point in time, you do. You own so legally, everything created by AI is considered original and unique to you. If somebody puts in the exact same parameters as you, they could create something exactly the same or very, very similar looking to what you have created. And there are quite a number of lawsuits pending right now at the moment against OpenAI because people are saying, write me a novel in the style of this great author. And so what they're thinking is that potentially, famous people can say, do not sample my work, that it will only be stuff that is in, copyright free that can be sampled. So it's still in its infancy, but at this point in time, you own the work and it is considered yours. So, in the example that Mike used of a stock photography that you're creating yourself, you just saved yourself a whole lot of money in terms of stock video photography creation. And then also in terms of the future, just to reiterate that we do feel that, if you are in a low skilled labor role, you might, be facing some challenges. And the best and the fastest way is to, adopt AI, at least to do your work better and to be able to offer that as a service to say, I'm an AI master and I can now, help you because I'm really good at getting AI to work. So it is important, I think, that companies pivot, platforms pivot, individuals pivot, and as more and more of the low-skilled work is going to be taken over by technology. And we always knew that was coming. I think it just hit us a lot faster than we expected. I think we all expected it to be a slow build, and I think OpenAI has been a step change for everybody. And this is only GPT-3 we're looking at. GPT-4 is coming. They're busy working on GPT-4, and that's even more powerful. So, I definitely think that is exciting. So, I think we're going to skip this poll. I think we all have a bit of poll fatigue. So, before I get to the list of resources, I just want to remind you that we at Shift One are here if you are looking to create a strategy that is unique to your business for business growth, brand building, community, running campaigns, whatever your goal is. We can definitely help you put together an omni-channel strategy. Because as yet we still can provide that service that takes your business to the next level. So whatever it is that you're looking for, definitely give us a shout, including training and workshops. We are available for that. And let's just run very, very quickly through your resources that we've included for you, and a few more will be included in your pack when we send it out to you. So here's a mini prompt guide with a few more ideas. Here's some role-based prompts that you can try just to play with, as well as your links for all your copywriting. We've also included an AI copywriting detector because, yes, that exists. There is a free tool that is pretty accurate at predicting whether something was written by AI, and a very cool AI search engine that doesn't have ads. Thank you, Candice, for that one. And so there's some nice... there's some more links for you there for strategy, data mining, some of your design tools that we mentioned, and then just a couple of cool links on the side. So we've got a website that gives, it's all the demos of all the AI tools. Somebody's collated that all into one. And then there's the Dolly prompt book as well. So I just want to thank you all for your time. You've been amazing. Those of you who have to drop off, you can drop off. But I think let's take a little bit of time, if you're still around, to get to some of the questions, if any of them have not been answered. So let's just have a look. Ashley asks, does all of this image creation become the property of the creator? Or does it then become available for anyone to use? So the content belongs to you, and it's not available for anyone to use because, in theory, you own the copyright on what you created using AI, unless somebody types in something very similar and comes up with a similar result. So I don't know if my other panelists have something they want to add on to that.
So you can have a look. Each of the platforms have their own slight variation on that. Some of them do specifically say that it is your copyright, it belongs to you. There are some others that it becomes a sort of a general license, so it's public domain. So it does depend on the platform that you're using. They do have slightly different terms and conditions.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? We can just go through the chat quickly. So Dylan, we will be emailing you the recording. Upcoming webinars, we will send you the link as well, but you can subscribe to our mailing list for that. And let's see what other questions there are.
So there's a question from Anka about on packaging design, or not packaging specifically, but when designing with AI, will you be able to download the files as print files? So I think that's one of the biggest drawbacks is in terms of image generation, you can ask it for a 4K or an 8K image. I haven't actually tested the quality of, is it really 4 or 8K? I would hope so, but a lot of the platforms are actually just basically giving you that screen image that you can just download. So a lot of it isn't high quality, but all of it is just image. So you're not able to generate, for instance, a print PDF that's got specific colors or layers. You're not able to download, create a design that you can have text as actual text embedded in a PDF. So there are a lot of restrictions there in terms of design. So at this point, it's mostly just image, video. I wouldn't say there's anything you can use in Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop or InDesign at this point, other than just generating images and text for your layouts.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that's all the questions. Sham said, with the AI-generated website, do you need to have the domain name registered?
Yes, so that AI-generated website, once you're done it does prompt you, so you can decide whether you've already got a domain or whether you've got hosting, and it actually takes you through that process. I didn't go through the whole process, but I could definitely see there are prompts there to then take the website live for you on your domain. They probably have some self-hosted options as well.
Amazing. I just want to thank everybody for your time and your patience. Thanks. We ran a bit over time, but I think that everyone will agree that it was really, really, really interesting. I found it interesting myself as a marketer, that I can be here for this amazing transition in digital marketing. It's just breathtaking. So give us a call if you'd like a strategy session with us, if you'd like us to discuss some of your training needs. We're here for you. Other than that, we'll see you at the next webinar. Thanks to my panelists, and thanks everybody. You're welcome to pop us an email if you have any questions further. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks. See you at the next one.
Thanks, guys. Bye.